Hi, it's me, Broken Not Defeated Toya, and I'm starting this channel because I wanted to talk about my journey with pots. I want this channel to be more of a like an uplifting channel, a more positive channel, just showing my day-to-day struggle and triumphs with pots and how I am determined to kick the pots ass. I've been battling POTS now for about 9 years. For those who doesn't know, POTS is called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And I've been battling it now, like I said, for 9 years. And it's a very debilitating disease. It causes your heart to race pretty fast. And you don't get enough oxygen or blood to your brain and to your heart. Your blood basically drops to your legs and pulls in your legs. Fortunately for me, I have not passed out except for one time with POTS, but I come pretty close, especially when driving, to pass out. So right now, I am not able to drive like I normally would. And that really takes a toll on me because I like to drive. I like to take my kids places, but POTS can sometimes hinder you from doing the things that you normally would do. And it's affected me a lot. Um, One of the things POTS has stopped me from doing is being able to just get up and help my kids get ready for school, make them their breakfast. Um, if they wanted me to help brushing their teeth, especially when they were younger, I couldn't do that. Now that they're much older, they normally have it down packed by themselves, but I've missed a lot because I wasn't able to do the things that I would normally do with them. A lot of doctors says that it was in my head that I was making this all up, but now with all the research and not all the research, with some research, a lot of more people are finding out about POTS. I was diagnosed with POTS 8 years ago. Um, I ended up in the hospital from having such a pain on the top of my head, and my heart was racing out of control. And I ended up going to Winthrop Hospital, and they were just like, we don't know what's going on. Your heart is just, it's going really fast. They try to give me something to slow my heart rate down, like a beta blocker, but it didn't really help much. They tried to give me Benadryl because they were thinking that the burning in my head was coming from maybe an allergy or something, and that didn't work. They ended up keeping me and trying to run more tests on me. At one point during them keeping me with the monitors, my heart rate must have dropped pretty low because the doctor ran over and flipped my bed up. And I was like, what in the world are you doing? Like, hello, I'm in the bed, I'm sleeping. But he was like, we need you to sit up. And at that point, I got very scared. You know, I thought that maybe I was going to die. And then a few hours later, another doctor came and they said, have you been going through anything? Well, I was like, yes, I had about 5 miscarriages and I was pretty depressed. So they chucked it all up to say, well, maybe you're going through depression. Maybe there's just a lot in your body. And I was saying, no, I don't think it's that, because even though I went through that, I'm okay. Like I grieved, I did whatever I had to do. That wouldn't always be a part of me, but I'm okay. I was like, no, this thing is weird. This is something else. And they were like, well, we don't think so. Maybe it's that. So, of course, they brought down a psychiatrist. And the psychiatrist goes on to say, well, we think you have anxiety. We think you have depression. And we want to give you Lexapro. And we want to give you this. And you can try God and all this stuff they want to give me. And I was like, I don't think it's that. So they kept me overnight. And so, yeah, basically, The doctor was trying to tell me it was all in my head and that I needed to pull myself together. So, with that, he left the room, and then my mom was in there, and I said, I know who I need to see. I need to see your cardiologist. So she was like, no, I don't want you to see my cardiologist because you're going to make my cardiologist go crazy. They're going to think that you a nut basket, and I don't want to be embarrassed. I said, Ma, you got to be kidding me. This is not on my head. This is for real. Like, I am really inexperienced in these things. She was like, no, not my cardiologist. You just leave my cardiologist alone. Whatever. With me talking to her, her cardiologist started to walk by. And it was like, I was like, what? Cardiologist passed by? I was so in shock. So I was like, what in the world? We just talked him up. So he was going into a room of another patient. So as I started to get dressed, I said, Mom, there he go. I'm going to go ask him. And she was like, don't you dare go over there and ask him anything. I don't want you going to speak to my cardiologist. I was like, excuse me. Stop the press. So then I proceeded to get dressed, and the nurse came in with this wheelchair, and they wanted to wheel me downstairs. So I said, all right. She think I'm not going to talk to her cardiologist, but wait till she wheel me out into that hallway. I'm going to grab him. So as we was coming out, my mom said to the nurse, I'll push her down. So I was like, she thinks she going to get me out of this man's direction, so I won't talk to him. So he was standing on the side talking to some other doctors and nurses, and my mom was pushing me going down, the middle. So she tried to like steer me over to the right-hand side to get me away from him. And I'm steady reaching my hand out like trying to grab him. It was so funny. And she's like, no, how dare you? You will not try to grab him. So she went close enough to where he was at, and I just grabbed the end of his coat. It was like the lady with the issue of blood that grabbed Jesus' coat. I just grabbed him. And he was like, excuse me. I was like, yes, hi. My name is TOYA Ross, and I feel like there's something wrong with me, and I need you to help me. And he was like, what do you think is wrong with you? I was like, I don't know, and no one else seems to know. He said, did someone see you beforehand? I was like, yeah, he did, but I want you. He was like, well, it don't work like that. You just can't get me. And I was like, yes, I can. I want you. I don't want him. I want you. I know, but it was kind of rude. But I felt like if he helped my mom, which suffered a heart attack, he could definitely help me. So I asked him, can you please just take a look? Please just take a look. So he looked at the other doctor and said, is it okay with you that I examine her? And he said, well, if she wants you, you can definitely examine her. I have no problem with that. I said, yep, I do want you. So he wheeled me back into the room, and he had me get back up on the bed. And I sat, and he looked at me, and he said, stand up. So I stood up. He said, sit down. So I sat down. He said, lay down. So I laid down. And then he told me, stand back up again, sit back up again, sit back down again, lay back down again. So he said, you know what? I think I know what you have. While he was doing it, my heart rate was through the roof every time I stood up, every time I sat up. It was just crazy. He said, I think I know what's wrong with you. I think you have POTS. And I was like, thank you, God. My mother was like, you happy you got something? I said, I'm just happy to have a name for something that's wrong, so it wouldn't be like it was all in my head. So he said, I think you do have a little bit of anxiety too. I said, you think there's something wrong with me? Wouldn't you be a little freaked out? So he was like, but I really believe that this is POTS. So I said, okay, what are we going to do about it? How do we fix it? Is there a shot? What can we do to get it go away? He said, well, it's not that simple. It's a lot of trial and error because there's no cure for this thing, and we need to run some tests and figure this thing out. And I said, but you sure that's what it is? So what do we do right now to fix me now? He was like, well, we're going to get you some support stockings, compression stockings, and we're going to give you some salt tablets and see how that works. And I was like, I got to take salt. I'm trying to stay away from salt. I said, I haven't taken salt in a very long time. He said, that might be a part of the problem. I didn't know that you needed salt. I thought you had to stay away from salt. And I was choosing to stay away because my mom and dad have high blood pressure as well as my brother. So here I think I'm doing something by not taking salt, but I was actually doing more damage. So he was like, no, we need you to take some salt. So I was like, okay, let's see how this works out. So with that, he gave me a diagnosis of POTS. And ever since then, I've been battling this beast, having my ups and downs. And some days I can't even get out of bed. Some days I can't do nothing at all. Some days I'm just so crappy, especially around my menstrual cycle. Forget about it. I don't even want to lift my hands to brush my hair. That's how bad it is. Now, it's like one of the worst times again in my life with the POTS. Like it seems like it come back with a vengeance. Like it's like, listen, you had a moment, I'm about to hit you hard right now. And it's doing exactly that, hitting me mad hard. I feel like I'm in a boxing ring fighting. And it's like so many different symptoms. Now my hands, as you can see, been giving me pain. I've been getting this burning in my chest and in my stomach. It's just weird. And then they say that's part of POTS because your body is just so out of whack. Well, body come back. Hello. So, I mean, I got to a point where I'm just sick and tired of being sick. So now I figured that people have been telling me to do this for a long time, to get online and speak to people about what I'm going through. Because every time I look online, I see that people just talk about their POTS, and it's really like, I don't see people really just like going through day to day and some of the things that they do to actually try to defeat this thing. So I want to see if I can possibly go through a journey of my day to day and try to kick POTS ass. And maybe we can do it together. I want to change my eating. I want to change my physical activity. I want to show my emotional side, going to therapy, because they say therapy will help. Maybe going to yoga. I'll bring you guys into a yoga class with me. Meditation. I don't know. I want to try everything possible to do, and I want to take you guys along with me for the ride. So we're going to ride this out together, and we're going to kick POTS behind together. So brain fog on fleek. I don't even know what the hell I was just talking about. That's how real POTS is. So while all you people out there talking about POTS is not real, I don't even know what to say to y'all. But it is. So yes, whatever I was going to say. But anyway, we're going to journey together. And we're going to try to beat this thing one day at a time. It's your girl Toya, broken, not defeated. And I'll be back.